welcome back. I think the last time we were speaking about fun founders and how do you find the right people in your team.
Yeah.
If you haven't watched those episodes, please go back and check out the previous episodes. But Frank, I think the thing we're looking at is team. So yes, we've now come up with an idea. You found out the right founder. Now you need people to actually help you execute and sort of grow the company.
Yeah.
And so I'd love to hear your thoughts around, how do you find the right people, the right team? How do you build out that team?
Okay. So then one of the things that I can like talk about is when you're starting out any company, you have to understand that you probably don't have a lot of money.
Mhm.
So how do you get these amazing people when you're starting out? And so the thing is, for me, that's what I've noticed is the most beautiful thing that you can do for yourself is you can either decide to lose part of your company, lose in quotes, by giving away your shares to get these people. And also understand that not everyone will be as excited as you are about your company. So just go out there with that thought that as much as you share passionately about your concept, not everyone is passionate. And so you have two options. You can either negotiate to get the best person to join like that, but then you can do this thing where you get someone who is probably not a 10x person, but it's like an average-ish and willing to learn, and then I bring them into the team, and I have an active learning or teaching process for that, for me to upscale them and get better. And I'm never scared that this person might leave and go to somewhere else. So I think that's the first thing I'd probably think about with regards to the team. I don't know what you think about remunerations and payments.
That's always the tricky part where people get very touchy.
Exactly.
So I always think about how do you split your team into two.
Yeah.
One is your leadership.
Yeah.
The people who are
Yeah.
actually going to drive. So I think the one mistake a lot of founders make, and it's okay for the first couple of months figuring out how the business is gonna go, is putting a lot of work on yourselves as founders. And it's beauty if you can get someone who can start the company. But as you then slowly grow the company, you want to identify very key experienced people who can then drive the different functions of your company. And that's why I guess a lot of people who use the CXO terms, which, I mean, if you're a company of two people, I don't see why I'm the chief operations officer. Who am I operating?
I don't like that. I've never held it.
Yeah. So there's those two groups. There's your leadership, and then there's the people below them. And that's why you have to find within your leadership people who are actually able to lead. So if you're gonna find someone who's going to head your engineering team, you need someone experienced, and then now let them build a team under them. And you have to find somebody who's a leader rather than a manager, because it changes the dynamics, because also these leadership are the people who will define and help you define the culture within your organization. I think in the past experiences, I've seen a lot of interesting organizations where you hire the first developer and slowly culture them and build them up, and that's where leadership becomes interesting. So if you can find an experienced developer who's maybe had a couple of exposures here and there, and then as a founder, your also responsibility is to grow this person's career. If you're going to say, hey, this person is interesting for me to make them a CTO, then one of the things you have to put in the work is how do you build that, and sometimes maybe the guy doesn't want to be a leader, but so you have to identify the key is you have to find the right people. You have to find the right person who's going to be a leader, and the right person who's going to be, dig into the trenches. So I might go hire a developer from the get-go, and very slowly I start realizing, wait, this guy, I shouldn't necessarily make him a CTO, but he loves the code. Let me make him the engineering lead, and then find somebody who can be a CTO, because then a CTO is not just
a different
the dev
person from a developer.
He's a bridge between your engineering and the business. So you kind of have to find somebody who fits in there. And I think clarity in understanding, who do you give what role. I think the mistake a startup can make is, and it's okay. And it's the first few times we all make mistakes. Is you find one person who's a COO, he's a CTO, he's a dev, he's an engineer, he's a DevOps guy, and so you pile up so many responsibilities on this person that they no longer become valuable. they become what in Kenya we term as KYM, Kazi ya Mkono.
Mhm.
So all they're doing is, running around
Yeah.
fixing problems.
Yeah, I think actually I realized it where I got to meet so this is after Blair and like the last startup now that I've been doing. I met these amazing people, and they start giving me this advice about if you're the person who started the company, you're better off hiring other people to help you in running and executing the vision, because you get to have time to think about your vision, to expand it and like. And I like borrowing an example from our top 5 very, very micro companies. I mean, these are the Googles and Microsofts. Like, I mean, you'd have the founders thinking about, we are here, we're thinking about 5-10 years from now. We are working on these other projects, we want to experiment on them. And I think letting go, as most founders find out, is that it's really hard to entrust other people within the team. And I think that's where they start getting worried about, oh, this guy might run away and start this company. And I think when we talked about it in the first episode, if you feel like you can't share your idea, then I don't think you're actually ready to run a company.
I think you touched on something interesting, and I'd love to get your thoughts on it. So there's this idea that people get very scared that if I really skill at this person, they will run away. What are your thoughts on that? Because and I'll share my quick perspective. I actually don't see that as a problem. If I'm actually going to build someone to be good enough so that they can grow in their careers and leave and go start something else, by all means, because you have done more good in the ecosystem. Yes, you might lose somebody, but at least you've done something. You've built something. So I know there's people get very scared about that. And in your experience starting companies, what are your thoughts?
I never got scared. Actually, the funny part is all the guys I hired, and the second last startup that I was running, that I had in the tech team, all of them left the company, and I can tell you, one relocated into a very big company outside. Like none of them left the company, or none of the people that were working directly under me left the company that I was working for and went on ahead to work to earn less. In fact, I think their salaries were either 10x or something when they left my team. And so they work for these global companies and the like. And I think for me was, I have this thing of a penny shared is a penny gained. And so a penny shared in the sense of, if training someone is money. I like what the SEALs, Navy SEALs, the States, they say that one Navy SEAL, the government of the US has invested millions into that one person, and that is in terms of food, trainings, hours and stuff, resources. And so I look at it from that point of, you training someone is not a loss for yourself. In fact, I flip it this way. If I train someone who ends up becoming the head at Google and the like, and I was really good at them, with them when I was relating with them. I mean, come to think of it, if you ever need a favor, or if I'm running EdTech, so if I'm ever running any educational startup, and that has always been my dream, that one day I'm gonna call these people and tell them, hey, you young kids, do you want to meet a Googler, the CEO of Google? When this guy can come in, and it's something where there are some doors that can end up being opened for you, or some people can mention your name in some certain places, and you're like, wait, this guy's
They say people do business with people.
Yes, very true.
And so definitely, if you're able to get the right person, grow them, and because at the end of the day, we also look for that growth.
Yeah.
As individuals, irrespective of which company you go to,
Yeah.
you're always looking at, how much more can I learn so that I can grow. But imagine a situation where you work in an organization, and your leader or your manager is restricting how much you can grow as a person because they're afraid to lose you. Then that's a huge injustice to people. Maybe let's take a step back, and something you mentioned earlier is how do you remunerate the first few people on your team.
Because I was really interested in that, and I like the way you flipped it and started talking about, like, there are these layers, and so you have the leadership layer, and then you have the other guys who are here, and that's what for me, I guess it's a very interesting concept to talk about, because I guess most people are wondering. I get this developer, he's telling me he wants to be paid maybe $2,000 per month, or what, $240,000 per year. How am I supposed to handle that? I don't have all that money. I'm a startup, and convincing them that this is a dream, it's gonna change the world. They've probably heard that so many times, but if you're watching this, I'm telling you the truth. Most amazing engineers and good engineers have been told this story that, hey, come join me, this startup is gonna be big. You've heard that, you've actually put in hours into it, but then the thing just goes and fails. So what do you think about that remuneration bit? And how would you go about it, for instance, if you were to think about what advice would you give?
Yeah. Oof. I'm not the biggest fan of certain companies, but a hard look at it is depends. So if I'm looking at people at the leadership level, I want somebody who's going to buy into my vision. So one, you have to find the right people. You're not just hiring somebody because of their CV, because of their background. Someone has to buy into your vision. Somebody has to really understand, what are you trying to get at? Why are you doing? In fact, I don't know if you read the book by Simon Sinek called, Find Your Why or Start with Why.
Yeah.
If the person you're hiring does not understand why you're doing it, then imagine this is somebody you keep giving the responsibility to build the rest of the team. Then you have a team of people down here who still also don't understand what you're doing. So I think it's very key, one, to find the right person. Now, how you compensate them, I think, is heavily dependent on the context or sort of the person. I've come across people who, you pitch to them an idea and they fall in love with your idea. And they're not looking for some crazy salary. Yes, of course, you give them a couple of shares, give them a sense of it. Human beings have this innate need of having a sense of belonging.
And importance.
Exactly.
And it's not about the money. Like people like saying it's so mental.
Yeah.
No one really,
It's not always about the money. So you might find somebody who's like, I love what you're doing, and they will put in the work, they will drive, they will go through the mud with you to make sure. It doesn't matter whether you can't pay them for 3 months, they will go deep in. Really depends. It really depends. You find other people who upfront say, no, give me this salary and we'll work. So I guess it really depends on the person. I mean, who to you? And I think it'd be amazing if we could, and I think that's where it boils down back to, as a manager, what culture are you building in a person?
Yeah.
Are you building them to go always after the money or to drive their purpose? Somebody once told me, if you sit in a company and you're not being given the opportunity to drive your purpose or what you love, that's a very good sign to leave. And so if you're able to find early enough, somebody who can help you drive your vision, understands what you're doing, and really can help you build a team, amazing. Now, how you compensate them, it could be benefits, it could be shares, it could be money.
Yeah.
That's entirely contextual. It really, I think it boils down back to the individual. So some people come and say, I want X salary.
Yeah.
And of course, everybody needs a bit of money to run their things, So I guess it really depends.
Okay, cool. So then, what you just to conclude with all this, and I think the other thing you mentioned is about the team culture and that. I think it's another very important thing for people to understand that. I think you said it, of building a team culture, of training people, of not being scared to do it. Just like in conclusion, not being scared to do it. Train, get the right people to do the right job. Don't be scared to share your vision, because if you're scared to tell people, that's it. And maybe necessarily just to build on something you say towards the end, that it doesn't matter. Different people have different things that motivate them towards joining a company. Other people it's money, other people it's a vision. So don't necessarily judge someone who comes and tells you I need 200,000 upfront, and you're thinking, oh my god, no, this guy's too expensive. So that's the thing.
At the end of the day, you're building that business to make money, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And to solve a problem. So
exactly.
Definitely. I think that the one last thing I'd add is, I think one key thing that, and I personally love to build this in a company, is the idea of constantly learning.
Yeah.
So inculcate this culture in people within my company to continuously learn, because the world is changing at a very fast pace. So if you can continuously learn, and really it's not learn the product, the tech that I'm doing, but learn leadership, learn, whatever skills it is, it's learn. And then giving people the confidence to express who they are. I've seen a lot of startups where, anyone below the C-level team is there to be seen, not heard. And I think that's a very wrong approach to it. I'd love to get, my junior dev to say to me, hey, Somat, I think, these are my thoughts on how we should do X and S. And you never know where the amazing ideas come from. It might be that junior dev you hire who will completely change how you grow your business.
Do you know what I think? I think like even you've sort of like are leading us to what we should talk about next, which is how do you build like a team culture? How do you build a team culture? And I think the guys who are watching us will probably find that in the next episode where we talk about team culture, team dynamics, and building something that is actually interesting for people. So as Matt said when he started, if you've not watched the other episodes, please start from the start. Like, subscribe, share, and I think you learn a lot from this. So see you in the next episode.
See you. So guys, thank you for joining us as we talk about startups with Frank. We'd love to hear what you guys think, and please do go comments, gang. Hope to see you in the comment section. Give us feedback around what you'd love to hear us talk about in the future episodes. And thank you for watching. Like, share, and subscribe.